Hi, before you start, could we please confirm that all InterSystems team is on board? Yes?
I'm here. Pat Jameson's here.
Great. So thank you everyone to come and meet us. We are very excited to have so many people here. Oh, there's something recording now. Coming to see and meet and see how cool we all are. At least I like to think that we are very interesting to talk with. So my name is Reglo de Souza. I'm product owner and the cloud strategist here at InterSystems. We also have Patrick Jameson, that's a product manager in the IRIS database, IRIS for Health. And we have Anton Umnikov, that's the senior cloud solution architect that work also in the same area that I do. I want to briefly speak to you what we are going to do here and see if you have any questions. Interrupt me anytime. I like to make this very conversational. So the agenda is we are going to talk a little bit who we are, why our technology is exciting, FHIR, and it's spelled that right, it's a standard in health. So I don't know if many of you knows about that standard, but Patrick is going to talk a little bit about that. And then Anton is going to do a really cool demo for you and direct all the hard questions for him because he's the smart guy in the group. What you're going to benefit from this presentation is that I hope that you're going to have some new skills, programming skills. We, in the end, are going to share with you a secret code that if you are going to participate in person Saturday, you're going to get some prize from Anastasia. It is here to help you with that. And I hope that this is going to be a very fun presentation and we can meet each other in person probably in the next few days. So who we are. InterSystems in the market, on healthcare market, to be more specific, for years. It's not the only thing that we do. We do finance, we do logistics, supply chain, a lot of things, but our main core is really healthcare. The owner of the company started in MIT as well, so you can imagine how much we love MIT. Our headquarters is just across of the Sloan School here. So next time that you put a car on the rooftop again, please call me because I want to join you too. And actually that was really funny a few years ago. But anyway, don't know if you were here. We are privately owned and we have been profitable in all these years. We like to think, and some experts say that we are the global leader in healthcare data management and analytics. We also do a lot of awesome things in the financial sector. So you can imagine that 15% of the stock transactions use our technology. Where we are in several countries, 25 to be more precise. We have several offices. We have thousands of customers and partners. And our headquarters, as I mentioned to you, is here in Cambridge. We have basically in the healthcare 1 billion patients, unique patients using our technology. What we do, we have a database, a platform of development that is called IRIS for Health, and we have IRIS as well. We build a lot of cool stuff, for creating health in exchange information that use our technology. We have a lot of partners that also aggregate a lot of value, and we have our own electronic medical record that is sold outside of the US. So I like to think that we really understand healthcare. So I hope that you came to the right place. So it's not just me saying, has a lot of people that think that we are cool too. So we have the US government, more VA, DOD, Indian Health. We have providers, we have payers, clinical labs, medtech, software vendors, including Epic, that's the biggest one in the world. We have information networks, we have solution partners, and we have life science. Oof, it's a lot of things to talk, and I had to take some breaks about this. But anyway, that's what we are, and I'm going to pass to Patrick to start talking about FHIR and why that is important if we are talking about healthcare. Patrick, you want to take it over?
Thanks, Angelo. Yeah, my name's Pat Jameson. I'm the product manager for Iris for Health, and I've been involved in medical IT for a long time. I actually went to MIT. I've been involved in hacks before there were hackathons, and I think if you're an MIT student, you're very familiar with hacks. I think the hackathon is a great opportunity, though, to get involved in some very innovative things. And I made this movie so I could try to introduce you to new things in health IT, and especially how you could get started with a new healthcare standard. So I don't want to talk a lot about me. We'll just go right to the video.
I'd like to share with you some experiences of what is going on today in health IT and why this is an incredibly exciting time to building new innovative health applications. You may not realize it, but there's a new standard emerging in healthcare IT called the Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources. Now, it's not brand new. It's been around since 2014, but only in the last few years has there been a real push to use it throughout the healthcare system. So I'd like to explain a little bit why it's being used in healthcare and what's catalyzing this next wave in healthcare application development. We'll talk about a few major use cases for FHIR, but I will also then pivot a little bit to show you that you can get started with FHIR right now. We've made it very easy to try and develop small applications with the InterSystems FHIR Accelerator Service, something that you could sign up for free and use in this hackathon. And I'll be giving you a brief demo of some of its features. I think you're going to really like it. So, a tsunami is sweeping over health IT, and it really can't be stopped. So, let's see how we can then harness this and why this is so important. What's changing in health IT is that we're moving quickly from on-premise applications to cloud-based services. This is a sea change affecting all of IT, but it's finally catching up with healthcare. We're moving from something that was event-centric, so for example, interface engines communicating with each other based on things like an admission event or a registration event, to being more query-driven and also being something that is outside of the hospital's four walls, opening up whole new application areas. We also are moving toward open APIs in healthcare. That has not been the case for years. So we've had a few standards in healthcare, such as HL7 v2, that were open. But for the most part, if you look at EMR APIs, they're quite closed. And so building applications on top of the EMR are very difficult to do. FHIR also creates an element of semantic interoperability lacking in the older standards, which are making it easier to build applications. Also, we're beginning to use more and more in healthcare modern RESTful interfaces. These interfaces are based mainly on JSON and XML and not HL7 v2. And we're using more web services and web requests that use HTTP and HTTPS, not TCP/IP. So what were some of the goals that led to the creation of FHIR applications? Well, there were many. There were a lot of disappointments with the fact that all patients in EMR didn't improve like they were expected to do. FHIR was created to get better transparency into the cost and outcomes of care, create more competitive options for getting medical care, giving patients much more convenient access to their medical records. And finally, for entrepreneurs and people who are interested in building new kinds of healthcare applications, creating a whole app economy for innovation and choice. And that's where I think we are today. The beginning of this is finally percolating into our health IT systems. We're getting a big push from the Office of the National Coordinator and the Center for Medicare Services. They issued about a year and a half ago what was called the final rule. And this final rule mandated that FHIR be used in healthcare data exchange, especially outside the hospital. So effectively, what this is doing is opening up APIs into your medical record that will be based on FHIR. With the patient's consent, then you can get access to highly sensitive and important healthcare data through the FHIR standard. And here are just some of the clinical areas of that medical record that you could access through the US Common Core or the US CDI. Allergies, clinical notes, goals, patient demographics, the patient's problems, vital signs, and many, many other areas. This is really giving health IT developers a wealth of information that they had no access to just a few years ago. All of this is transforming health IT. So we're going to have API certification based on open standards for the first time. We're going to have an open and competitive marketplace for health apps, something that never existed. And we're going to base all of this on FHIR R4. So this is going to be very important to understand going forward if you want to enter health IT development. Here are just some of the use cases. You can tether your app to the EMR, improving patient engagement. You could create a mobile platform for connecting bioresearchers for those patients that consent to sharing their data. You could do remote access clinical decision support. And you could build patient mobile apps and toolkits using a standard called Smart on FHIR, which creates very intelligent applications that integrate into the electronic medical record. InterSystems has a deep commitment to FHIR. We've been actively involved in the evolution of the FHIR standard for years, and we offer in our products broad and deep support for the FHIR standards, including FHIR R4 and the new standard to emerge, FHIR R5. We also support Smart on FHIR, which is used in many types of FHIR applications. We make it easy to integrate legacy data by providing built-in transformations from legacy sources into FHIR. And we now offer the Iris FHIR Accelerator service to make it very easy and inexpensive for developers to get started. We're keeping the developer in mind by creating APIs that can allow them to understand and test FHIR. We know a lot of developers are new to the FHIR community, and by using API first driven development, using our Iris FHIR Accelerator development portal, they can get started very easily. The service provides a lot of things that would be difficult for a developer to create on their own and unnecessarily. So, for example, we provide all the infrastructure, high availability operating systems, servers, networks, all in the cloud for you to be able to use FHIR on the a FHIR server on the back end. We take care of all the management, backups, disaster recovery, monitoring, and security, which is required by HIPAA by law. So these are important things you'd want to consider in building any healthcare application. Got a lot of great resources for you. You could create a free account for the accelerator by going to this website at portalliveisccloud.io. There you'll just register for a free account and you can get started right away. Also on the same site, you can access documentation to the service that goes into depth. So at this point, I'm going to give you a kind of a walkthrough and demo of the service. And finally, you can write to me for questions. So again, welcome to the new wave in healthcare development. And let's show you some easy ways that you can on-ramp to using FHIR.
I'm going to log in to my portal management account where you can obtain your own FHIR server. Here I'm entering my credentials and I'll log in here. Immediately, you'll see your deployments. I only have one deployment here, so I'm going to click on it. And on the side panel, you can see the various features. Notice that there are two endpoints, an API endpoint and OAuth 2 endpoints. So if we want to use the API endpoint, where we need to use an API key to access FHIR resources, we have to go and create some credentials so we can get that key. And so I'm going to go ahead and create a new API key. I'm just going to make it very simple here. I'm going to call it key number 4. I'm going to go ahead and add that key. You would see you have a one-time chance to get the key. You may want to copy it to a safe place. Then I'll close this up. Now I'm able to query the FHIR server from any kind of client tools. So here what I'm going to do is initially use Postman. Now remember that endpoint, we will need it. And I need to paste in the API key here to our authorization headers. And the key name is XAPI key. I'm going to go back here, make sure that I have the correct endpoint, because if I use the OAuth 2 endpoint, it will not work. And I'll go ahead and replace the part of the query. I'm going to query patients on the phone. So here I'm going to enter this REST request. I have my header set up. Now I'll hit send. And notice I get a nice 200 response. And you can see what I get back is a bundle. And there are a total of 26 patient resources in this bundle. Each patient resource has an entry. And then in JSON format, you could see the various FHIR fields. And you can learn more about this by reading the FHIR documentation on the FHIR website. But you can see I have all kinds of information about things like the identifier for the patient and the code systems used for that identifier, their names, prefixes, etc. So this is a very rich source of information. Now, admittedly, most people won't want to just use Postman. They'd like to use an application. And here I'll show you one that you can set up yourself. Again, I'm going to need that API key to use this application because I'm going to just make it queries using the key. And in this application, you're going to set up this environment variable. You're just going to paste that environment variable into XAPI key. Again, you have to download the repository, clone it, and put it on your local system. Now, this is an Angular application, so I'm going to fire it up with ng-serve. And it's just going to take a little bit of time. And we should have it up and running fairly quickly. So it's setting up the application now. It's building it. In a few more seconds, it should be up. Now it's up. Now we could use our browser to fire up the application. So I'm just going to pull up a browser here, and I'm going to just type in HTTP localhost 4200, and I'm in the patient's menu. I'm sorry, this went so fast. And you could see, I could see the patients now in a little bit more of a readable form, not using all that JSON expression. I can also get the observations for each patient. So for example, maybe I want to get blood pressure, and I could see the components of blood pressure with this application. This is a very, very simple demo that you can then use and modify to your heart's content. One thing I'll show you here is that we can easily see our request if we use the Chrome development tools. And I just scroll down here, you're going to see in our header that the application is going to automatically add to the endpoint this X-API key. So what if I wanted to use this very securely using OAuth 2? This is a much more complex operation, but I've created a code repository for this as well. You could create your own authorization server. And here this example shows creating one in Okta. I'm not going to go into all the details. There's a lot of work needed to do this, but all of it's very well explained in my GitHub repository, so that you could check this out if you're really interested in security. And essentially, I'll just show you this demo real quick. I'm not going to go into the details, but what you could do is log in, and it will redirect you to an Okta sign-in page, and you'll sign in, and basically you'll get back the same information. But in this case, there's a little bit of a difference. We're not using an API key anymore. It is actually requesting a bearer token. Now, bearer token has a lot of contained information in it. It's an encoded string. So if we go ahead and copy that string, it's going to be a little challenging sometimes using the Chrome development tools, but I'm going to try here. Bear with me. I'm going to take that bearer token, copy it, and now I'm going to head over to a website that's really marvelous. It's called JWT.io. And this is where I could take an encoded JWT token, like we have, and I can just paste it into this box. And what you'll see on the other side is the decoded token. And this shows all the claims of the token and the scopes. The scopes are really important for what the FHIR resource server will allow you to get from it. So there's a lot of information here. I don't have time to get into it, but you can learn more at my website. Now I just want to show you some basic overviews. We can get including the latencies, our requests, the average latencies, and the number of errors we get. We also have a nice development portal. And you can see for this portal, we need to go ahead and authorize it by putting in our API key. So take that same key that you had before, go ahead and authorize it and close her up. This is nice because the portal really shows you all of the search parameters for any given query. So if we took that basic patient query where we're just going to get all the patients, I'm going to go say, yeah, let's try it out. I'm going to scroll down. This is showing all the basic search parameters you could use. I'm going to just execute this query. And you can see here are the values that would, if you did the query in curl or HTTP, you get this. But now you see I'm getting that bundle of 26 patients back. I could also take a look at the access log, and you can see I've made a lot of different requests using OAuth 2, some with the API key. And this helps in terms of understanding who accessed your server. I could go to data management. I could see how many resources I have on my server, how many patients are in the system currently. I could also change the deployment. We're not going to do that today, obviously, and make backups of the system so that, you know, if you have important data, you can easily back that up. There's a nice administrative panel. We are not going to really get into it here. And again, going back to my deployments, I just have this one. We'll log out, and you know, that's a whirlwind tour, a lot to do, but a lot to, if you want to use FHIR, this is a great way to get started. I'm available for questions, just feel free to write me. And again, I really enjoyed this presentation. I hope your career with medical information and FHIR will be very exciting. This is a great time to be building applications. All of us will be available, obviously, to answer any questions regarding the FHIR Accelerator service. And I hope you'll try it out for the hackathon. So with that, I'll turn it on over to Anton.
Hey, thank you, Pat. Just quick show of hands. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So it's not the first time we participate in the hackathons with our solutions. And usually we face the same three questions. Like, how do I get access to this thing? Like, how do I connect to that technology of yours? And more importantly, and the more and more demanding question is, how do I populate it with some data so I can do some realistic research, realistic prototyping, right? I'm going to answer all these three questions and show you exactly the resources that you can use to get access to that. There would be a few websites and few links. You don't have to memorize or try to screen capture all of them. They all on the web page and will have one large screen, even with QR code that leads you exactly to this page. And it has all the links that I'll be showing you today. So to start with, how do I get access to this FHIR service? It's very simple. Go into portal.live.intersystems.io. You create your account. All you need is your email address, make up your username and a password, and off you go. Within 10 to 15 minutes, you would have a deployment, right? That would look like this, right? Everything that you've seen in Pat's demo would be available to you within just a few minutes after you get to that point. Right, Pat already showed you how you can interact with APIs, how you create keys, and so on. Pat even showed you a couple of applications that he built himself. Right, I can show you a couple of more sources of the applications that you can use with FHIR Accelerator service. Right, first one is InterSystems Open Exchange. Again, I even seen one of the questions in the set of questions, how do InterSystems works with open source and so on. So there are multiple applications in our open exchange system that deal with FHIR, and most of them would be working out of the box with FHIR Accelerator. So if you're looking for easy to run and configure client web or mobile application that is capable of talking to FHIR Accelerator service, look there. openexchange.intersystems.com, just filter by FHIR and you'll get there. Really easy to configure, usually with API key, exactly what Pat showed you. Another great source of open source projects that work with FHIR is Smart on FHIR. Like if you'll go to Smart on FHIR app gallery, right now it's at 58 different applications. You can access some of them are very visual and great graphics, great charts. Some of them patient-centric, some of them provider-centric. Again, you can take pretty much any of these applications and easily enable that to talk to FHIR Accelerator service. Give it a try. I have to warn you, it's way more sophisticated to configure Smart on FHIR application because you really have to understand inner workings of OAuth2 protocol. But if you're up for a challenge, some of us even will be on site at MIT Hackathon on a weekend and will definitely be available online to help you to configure everything you need and guide you through the process. But again, give it a try, see if there's any application that already does what you need, what you're trying to share. And the most interesting question that we keep getting all the time, and we finally addressed that probably the best way possible. Like, how do we get data into the system? Right, for the data, if you'll go to data management tab and go into bundle operation, like you already see, I have 59 patients loaded in my system. But if you'll go to bundle operations, first of all, you can get the bundles from your own local machine. I have a bunch of patients generated with Cynthia tool, and Cynthia tool is kind of de facto standard for synthetic patient data. It generates really realistic looking patient data with real names, real meaningful diagnosis, and you can filter it and generate, for instance, COVID-specific data, right? That's what you can do right there. But we didn't stop there. We are giving you a bunch of preloaded samples that you can try. For instance, if you want to load few COVID patients, right, all you need to do is just click on the COVID. It would say it would be about 50 patients living in the state of Massachusetts. And if you'll click on upload scenario, within few seconds, it would put data from this bundle onto the server. Like, here we go. And again, another minute or two after we click on import bundles, right, you would see all these patients being imported into the system, and eventually the import log would be available. As you can see, I've already imported quite a few patients in there, right? This is the import that is currently going on. If I'll go to the dashboard, I can see the number of patients is growing. That means the bundles are actively being processed and so on. So it's really easy to get your hand on the realistic data. The data generated by Cynthia is just a JSON, and this JSON is something you can look at. You can extract resources that you need. You can insert your custom diagnosis or custom observations, or just change things like a name. I don't like the generated name. I always try to change my patients in the demo to something like Homer Simpson. Feel free to do that there too. Now, the last thing I want to show you is, what if you want to connect FHIR Accelerator to data, to the systems operating in some legacy formats. Most common legacy format for healthcare being HL7 v2. And again, we have answer for that too. For HealthShare message transformation service, like I'll just give you the very quick demo. Go to demo tool, and this is how HL7 v2 looks like. Delimited string, then it's really hard to understand unlike JSON, but you can in one click transform it into FHIR, and you get like really nicely formatted FHIR resources that you in turn can load into FHIR Accelerator service, right? You obviously would not do that one by one, message by message. What you will be doing is you will be configuring the new transformation pipeline, and as a target, you just say FHIR Accelerator service, and it would ask you for the key for endpoint, and off you go. If you have your data in HL7 v2, in few clicks, you'll be able to load that and consume that within your FHIR Accelerator service. So you get FHIR service, highly available, secure, compliant, with two different modes of authentication. You have a bunch of sample applications, both mobile and web applications, that you can use with this service, and you have a wide variety of ways to load data into that system. I hope that would give you a great head start, and you can really concentrate on the most important next big thing in healthcare during this upcoming weekend, instead of trying to figure out how do I create my own FHIR repository, or how do I create my own UI, right? And once again, this is the link that we'll be sharing in the next couple of slides as a link and as a QR code. All the things that I was showing you are here. The couple of things, FHIR.js and Smart.js, are two libraries. If you still want to do your own development, that's probably the best libraries on the market right now, if you want to kind of do it yourself. And references to data generator, to Smart on FHIR App Gallery, and so on and so forth. That's pretty much it for me, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. But I think prior to that, Angela has a couple of things to show and tell.
Well, thank you, Anton. We have a lot of very cool questions there, so I'm going to be very quick just to reinforce that you can scan this QR code here and get all the information that Anton already said. And we are going to very quickly move to the QA session. I know that we are a little 1 minute past, but I think we can go for the most important questions here, and we are going to do our best if we get the information from the organization to answer all the questions that later. So the first question that we got is, how was the healthcare sector and related field impacted by COVID-19 pandemic? What kind of a change did you have to make? There was a lot of changes that happened in the healthcare, from having to have hospital fields to treat COVID patients, and having data available in a very meaningful way for the physicians. I think that was one of the most complex problems that we had faced. So with InterSystems, we partner with a lot of governments and some larger hospitals as well, using the FHIR, the healthcare information exchange. But providers could diagnose and treat and get all the information that they could have. Remember that in COVID, it's not the family was not there if the patient couldn't speak. They have to rely on the information they have there. So it was really important to have this kind of data on their hands. Patrick and Anton, I hope that you jump in. I know that I'm kind of speeding because we are over time, but if you want to add anything else, please jump in.
Yeah, I think Ron Sweeney pointed out too that one of the early problems in COVID was supply chain and understanding, how we could improve that supply chain, especially with all the different demands during the pandemic. So I think that's another application area. It's not all clinical, it's also our devices and supplies.
That's an excellent point. Another question here that was well voted is what kind of projects are done with InterSystems API, and can we access for using the HackMIT? I think that we answered that. It's just go to the website, you can have access to that, and many kind of projects from labs to EMRs to patient portals, anything that you want to do using our InterSystems API. We have our own applications as well as the other 23 that we have as an open source for you. Of course, that you can go to the Smart on Fire library and get some as well. The next one is what are some visions you have for the API, for your API and InterSystems in general? What do you think InterSystems is going in the next 5 to 10 years? Well, there are a lot of things that we want to jump in. The vision is that we would have an ecosystem of APIs that would address all the data problems that we have. Imagine that you go to one hospital and you're going to have a medical record, you go to the other hospital, you have a different medical record, and now you have 2 places, so you can have in one. We have also problems of countries not using standards. We have problems of terminology. People use different standards for getting medications, conditions. So it's a very complex environment. And we want our APIs to help have a clean data so you can do analytics and the providers can do the treatments and getting the better outcome from everybody. Also, we have genetics, so a lot of data coming. So there are a lot of really cool things that are coming. And I think that having our APIs available for you, you're going to create a very cool solution.
Yeah, it's Angelo. It's also too. It's not only our vision. It's we are fundamentally there to support innovative developers, such as this hackathon. So whatever cool, innovative ideas they have in healthcare, we're going to support it. We're the leaders in interoperability. We are the leaders in healthcare analytics, and our platform empowers developers around the world. So that's our job, and we're going to continue to make it better and better in the coming years.
So there is a tricky question here. What do you folks recommend us to do in the hackathon? I don't think that we're in a position to tell you what you should be doing. We have a very broad idea what we could do. If you want to stop by in our booth, we can talk to see what is your interest, and then we can support you in the direction that you want to do. What do you think, Pat? Or Andrew?
I think Yeah, we don't ask, our customers are asking us to support their innovative ideas, not having us tell them how to innovate. But in general, I would say that there's so many different areas that you could innovate using the FHIR standard. I would just say if you're really looking for ideas, just do a Google search for FHIR applications and you're going to find so many ideas, you'll be overwhelmed.
Yeah, I would add to that. The whole reason for hackathon is for young minds like yours to think outside of the box and create something that corporations and big businesses never thought of. So turn on your imagination and go wild, do the next big thing. What we can help you to do is to make sure that your next big thing in healthcare operates in all the modern standards, have access to all the systems, all the healthcare systems out there, can integrate and intercommunicate with everything that was done before you and will be done after you. So your great next idea doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's a good citizen in the healthcare informatics interoperability space. And we'll be very happy to support you and see what the next big idea you came up with.
Excellent.
Great. Yeah, on that note, I'm sorry I have to interrupt here, but there are a lot of great questions coming in. So if you guys still have questions to ask for InterSystems, they will be on campus and virtual this Saturday. They're holding more events on Saturday, so you can catch up with them there or at their booths. And yeah, Anastasia has just put in the hint in the chat for the scavenger hunt. So go check that out if you're an in-person hacker. And yeah, I want to just say thank you again to all the people from InterSystems who came out today. It was such a great event, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of them on Saturday. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That was very fun.